Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of our post-match show. Once again, Chris is gallivanting, so I'm very pleased and lucky to be joined by Katie from Philadelphia, Ms. West Ham Philly, as we are. How are you doing, Katie?
I'm good. How are you, Tommy?
Good on a personal level, but West Ham just break my heart
Yeah,
way too
that's
much.
true.
But other than that, I'm good in all the ways that matter. But yeah, West Ham can't have ruin your evening, can't they?
Yeah, they have. I say it's always a good day when we have our health, we're happy, but it's never a good day when we can't have hammer shots. And today was a day we didn't have hammer shots, so it's a sad, sad day.
Yeah, it's just the usual lack of consistency, unfortunately. We don't turn up enough. Um, we've done it on a handful of occasions over the course of the season so far, but it's just far too infrequent.
Yeah, I don't understand how we can go up against Chelsea and match with them and go toe to toe, and then come to teams like Burnley, Villa, Norwich will struggle.
Yeah, it's there's no rhyme or reason to our performances. There's nothing you can put your finger on really that why we would be really good this week and really poor the next, and it just kind of fluctuates kind of wildly. And unfortunately, like the good days aren't frequent enough. You know, like you say, we had really good performance against Chelsea. Um, you know, a great result. Um, Whether it was just because it was a big team and a London derby, that psychologically the players were really up for it. And if that is the case, then there are other questions to be asked about that because you've got to be motivated anytime you go out on the pitch. I mean, these players get paid a lot of money to play football. It's something we'd bite your arm off for, to get the opportunity to do that as a career, um, and to go in, unmotivated in games just shouldn't happen, really. But unfortunately, that's what we get from the team. Hugely motivated against Chelsea. They played well, I thought, at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Not as good as against Chelsea, but well. And then tonight, just mostly very flat. Now we did create some opportunities, which we'll get into, but it's just you just never know with West Ham what you're going to get. It's just very frustrating, really.
Yeah, I know that frustration all too well. um, yeah, maybe we should get
It's
into it because honestly, I don't really know where to go from here. I mean, I'm just frustrated, not only with the team, but again with Moyes.
Yeah, he's hard to fathom. I thought, against Chelsea and Newcastle, he did okay. He kind of with the subs kind of worked, and the team he put out was good. And against tonight, I thought the team he put out was fine. I didn't have a problem with the lineup. Um, but then he reverts to type when it comes to the subs. When things aren't working, he just kind of doesn't seem to realize it or something. Or he feels like if he just leaves it alone, maybe something will change. But that doesn't tend to happen. I mean, you've got to be proactive on the sideline. Um, and he's not proactive enough. I mean, he only made two subs again tonight,
Yeah,
and made them both very late.
very late,
And
60 minutes,
yeah, I
70
mean those.
minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, he's very frustrating that way. Just when you think he's maybe turning a corner and he's learned some things about his squad and about being more proactive, and then he kind of reverts to type and disappoints you again. So it's hard to know what goes on in Moyes' head. Um, I couldn't believe Wilshere didn't come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, I don't know what it is with him and Wilshere. He brought him on as a sub in one game, um, and that was very late, so he wasn't really able to do anything. But today was crying out for Wilshere, and Fornells wasn't playing great. He could have come off quite early in the second half. 55 minutes, even 60 minutes, and give Jack Wilshere a chance because, Jack obviously is raring to go. He's desperate to play some football, get on the pitch, because he's been out for so long. And you can say he's a little wizard, on the ball. He can spot a pass. His great technique. And we went through all this actually before, Katie, you and I, after the last game, about Wilshere and his abilities, especially later on in the game when the game is kind of opening up a bit and opponents are a bit tired. Why we don't see Wilshere, I really don't know. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, I'm really, again, just confused about the whole thing. I was happy to see Ahtv get in, though. I thought maybe he could help up top. I just think that having Antonio up top might not be the solution for us. I think he had plenty of opportunities. I would only want him up there to press on a goalkeeper that we know is going to make a mistake. So I don't know. I still think there's a lot to be desired in our offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, look, Antonio's a winner. Always has been, always will be. Look, I think all West Ham fans are probably blue in the face from saying that he's not a natural forward. He's not a natural finisher.
Yeah.
We saw that again tonight. He had a glorious opportunity to score. He's clean through on goal. Had a really good angle on the keeper. The near post was just gaping. And what should have been a relatively straightforward finish, he managed to put wide. And that's just Antonio. I think I said to you after the Newcastle game when we did our post-game show for that Antonio's an instinctive kind of player. That the more time he has to think, the more chance there is he'll fuck it up. And unfortunately, when he was running through on goal this evening, he had enough time to think about what he wanted to do and then messed it up. You just broke your couch.
Yeah, I almost dropped my computer.
Jesus.
But he wasn't the only one that had opportunities. Yarmolenko, Fornals. We need to execute on those times where we have the opportunities. And this is, the same conversation we had a couple days ago.
Yeah, we again, you and I have spoken about this before. Same old thing. Just the finishing really let us down. We made an absolute hero out of Nick Pope.
Oh, well,
absolute hero out of him.
Finished just fine.
Yeah, we just made a hero out of Nick Pope tonight because we made him look at world's best keeper tonight. He should have been beaten at least twice tonight. I mean, the two glaring chances, the one we spoke about already that Antonio got, and then Haller got a chance in the second half. Again, the goal absolutely gaping and couldn't finish it. Allowed Nick Pope to get a foot to it and deflect it wide for a corner. How those don't go in, I don't know. Like I said, we had a lot of chances tonight. Now some were kind of half chances.
Sure.
Those two were great chances to score. We should definitely have had 2 goals tonight. There was one from Souček, a volley in the first half.
Yeah.
That wasn't a sitter. It was difficult technique, to hit it on the volley at that height. You got a good contact on it. Unfortunately, went straight at Nick Pope. Either side of him, a couple of feet, it goes in because of the power behind it. He won't get his hand out there in time. But there was another one from Antonio a little after where he had a shot at the near post, which Nick Pope got down smartly too and put round the post. Although I suspect that wasn't going in anyway. But we had a number of chances. I think Souček had a header that he looped over the bar in the second half. He didn't get the contact he wanted on it. Jared Bowen had a couple of half chances that he pulled the trigger on to try and make something happen. But again, just finishing, letting us down, which goes back to what you said. And Antonio should not be playing up top. He's a winger. I still think he should be playing on the right wing, and I would personally have Bowen up front.
Yeah.
Bowen is the one player up there who's a really natural finisher. You give Bowen those chances today that Haller and Antonio got, those really good chances, possibly even the Souček volley, and I think Bowen puts those away. You know,
So too.
but David Moyes just obviously doesn't see it that way. I don't know why he perseveres with Antonio up top. I can kind of understand why he leaves Bowen out on the right because he is playing very, very well.
Yeah.
But the Antonio one, I don't get. He's just not a forward.
Well, I think he is.
Doesn't have the finishing instinct.
Yeah, I think he's keeping Bowen on the wing because defensively he's won, some of the balls back. He's gotten turnovers, but there's still an opportunity for him to get turnovers being our sole striker up top. Again,
Yeah, because he works hard. Yeah, he works very hard, and he'll close down defenders.
right. And if they,
He'll close down the keeper. He'll force them to at least boot the ball away and get possession back, or he might intercept some passes and stuff because he works really hard. He's always on the move. So yeah, even up top, his work rate would be very useful to us.
right.
But
And even
but
so,
unfortunately,
Moyes should be
go
motivating
ahead.
them. You need to bust your tail and do the best you can. And when you're gassed, we'll give you a sub.
Well, I think that's probably. I'm glad you said that because I think that's another issue I have with tonight's game. I think that was actually, particularly in the second half, I think it was definitely part of the story of that game.
Yep.
Is that basically those players have all been playing these last three games, in close succession. This is more like kind of tournament football now.
Right.
Like a World Cup or European Championships, where the games are coming thick and fast, and these players have basically been playing every game. And I thought second half they did look like they were starting to struggle a bit, and that's partly down to Moyes' refusal to bring on subs earlier and to bring more subs on. Players are not getting the rest that they need. You can play the same team kind of week in, week out, if they've got enough time between games. But when they're coming thick and fast like this, you've got to use your bench, especially when you've got five that you can use. He's really looking a gift horse in the mouth, Moyes.
Absolutely.
He can bring on five players. He can change half of the outfield players that start the game. But he just doesn't do it. Even when he does bring a couple of players on, it's very late. So players are playing games in quick succession, and they're playing almost every minute. Most of them are playing every minute. And it did look to me in the second half, particularly tonight, like it was starting to catch up with him. Souček was gassed. Rice couldn't get into it. I think Rice was tired as well. And the whole team, I thought, just looked a bit lethargic and out on their feet a little bit. So, Moyes isn't helping us in that way either.
No, and we're on the heels of another season. So, we're just going to jump right back into it.
Yeah, there's been very little turnaround, towards the start of next season once this one is finished.
I'm predicting a lot of injuries. If Moyes doesn't start using his bench, we're going to have injury issues at the early next season.
Yeah, no question, because the fatigue, like physical fatigue, increases the chances of injuries, hugely. So he really needs to start using the bench, and it's not like we've got a terrible bench. No. I mean, there are players there that can come in and can play. We've got the likes of Balbuena there. You've got Wilshere. You've got Lanzini on there. You've got Noble there. You've got Ahtv there. You can bring these players on. Especially, Antonio became really ineffective because he was so tired. And Souček, like I said, Rice became less and less effective in the game because they're just gassed, I think. I think they needed a rest.
Not giving them an opportunity to be a cohesive, unit. He's playing the same people, so they're getting used to, how one another plays, but we're not getting the subs in, so they're not playing with one another other than in practice, and that's just not the same. So we're only really hurting ourselves in the long run.
Yeah, none of it makes much sense on any level. It didn't make any sense within the context of the game itself or in the context of trying to spare these players so you can get the best out of them. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we've got another game now. We're hot on the heels of this one on Saturday.
I know.
Away at Norwich. So if he puts out more or less the same side, we're going to see the same thing second half against Norwich. We're going to see players that are starting to run out of steam again, and then Norwich start getting on top, and maybe it causes another bad result. And that's just one of our problems. I think the major thing I saw tonight was just our fullbacks. I mean, Cresswell and Fredericks have got to go. I mean, we can't go into next season with those two. We just can't. They're an absolute liability.
It wasn't good. Like I said, Cresswell scored that goal, and I was just like, oh, why? You have to kick it away, not towards your goal. It's a pretty simple mistake, too.
Yeah, I mean, tonight, the goal tonight was really poor. I mean, if you look in the build-up, Cresswell looked back twice and could see he was there. And then the ball gets played in. It's a decent cross in. But Cresswell is Cresswell doesn't attack the ball. He allows Jay Rodriguez to just come from behind, and Rodriguez attacked the ball. So he comes at it full speed, gets in ahead of Cresswell and heads the ball in. And Cresswell should have been coming at that ball as quickly as possible, knowing that he's there and knowing that he's only coming to try and get in ahead of him, around the front of him, because that's what any forward's going to try and do. So, Cresswell not really making much of an effort to come towards the ball as quickly as possible and get there before Jay Rodriguez cost us a goal. It's just really basic defensive stuff, and Cresswell, really just made a mess of it, and that shouldn't happen. A player of his experience, he's been around long enough. He has to know that he has to come as quickly as possible towards that ball and try and make sure he gets there ahead of Rodriguez and get it out of there. But it's yet another game where our problems are coming down the flanks because our fullbacks aren't good enough, and you can be sure that's not lost on teams. And like I say, that's a huge worry for me going into the Norwich game, because they have two fantastic fullbacks who love to get forward and attack. Their right back Max Aarons and their left back Jamal Lewis. These are young, talented, very kind of hungry fullbacks who really believe they can go higher in the game, and I do too, actually. I dread to think what they might do to Cresswell and Fredericks on Saturday. If they see a lot of ball out wide, I mean, that could be real trouble for us.
You know what my father calls it, Tommy?
What's that?
Swiss cheese defense. Because there's
Swiss
so
cheese defense, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case, particularly out wide.
Come to us. Instead of going to them and keeping them out and putting pressure in the box, we just let them do what they want.
Yeah, because our fullbacks are just not up to the job. Fredericks is a championship level fullback, and Cresswell is just genuinely over the hill. I think he's just past it now, and and I don't mean that as an insult to Cresswell. He's been with us for a number of years now, and he's been a good servant. But I just hope Moyes can see it, because we can't go into next season with those two. We just can't. And the frustrating thing is, I think we've got a young lad there in Ben Johnson, who's a natural right back, and who I think is very talented and could be the future at right back for us if he's given the chance. And yet, I fully expect Fredericks will start against Norwich again with Johnson on the bench, and I can't understand it. I would have Johnson in no problem ahead of Fredericks. I mean, what could be worse? What could be worse than having Fredericks there right now? He was atrocious tonight, Fredericks. Absolutely horrible. Some of his touches, I mean, there was one where the ball was played out wide to him in midfield, and the ball went right under his foot and out for a throw-in to Burnley. And he's a disaster. And I mean, I can't understand another thing with Moyes. Why would you not be watching that on the sideline and thinking, all right, I'm giving Johnson a chance? Because Fredericks is just not up to this job. So I'd love to see Johnson on Saturday.
A lot of our players, the minute, they've been given plenty of opportunities to prove themselves, plenty of games. Now they're tired. They're stabbing at the ball. They're, not playing well. Now's the time where he should be using these subs and giving them the opportunities to start gelling with the rest of the team, and it's just not happening. So I think we're in trouble.
Yeah. Look, I think ultimately we'll survive because I don't think Villa and Bournemouth are going to pick up very many points. Very, very little, I think, unless one of them surprises us. But
yeah, I think we'll be
so
from relegation, but I just still think we're in trouble in the long run.
Yeah, we are, because apart from the fact David Moyes is our manager, I think we also have players now at the club who just want out. I think Heller just wants out. I think he's fed up. I think he just wants to go anywhere, probably. He's not having a good time.
Which is a
It's hard to blame them. It is a shame. It's hard to blame them, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like Christ knows what they were told. During the talks, when we were trying to sign them, who knows what shit they were fed by Sullivan,
right,
and probably Pellegrini as well, about the future and where the club were going, and then imagine spending the last few months at West Ham, since last August or whatever it was, barely winning any games, playing crap a lot of the time, scoring very few goals. This is probably not what he signed up for, realistically. Be a team that doesn't win very much and is struggling at the bottom of the table, trying to avoid relegation to Championship. So I suspect Haller, along with others, I think Anderson is in that bracket. I think actually even Diop, I don't like his body language on the pitch right now. How many times have we seen him have to make an interception or a clearance, and then he's looking around, throwing his hands up, talking to one of his teammates like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I think Diop is fed up. And even Declan Rice, I think, as much as he loves the club and his body language isn't bad or anything, I think privately, I think he knows that he needs to move on, for the sake of his career. I think Anderson wants out, which is fine by me. I think we should sell him anyway. Lanzini, I don't know where his head's at. He can't tell. But there are a number of players, I think, who are disillusioned at the club now and really just don't want to be here.
Well, I definitely think that that's where the whole finishing issue comes in, because a part of that too is mental. So I also feel like there is something going on from a mental level and a mental perspective. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's too much disjunction in the team, I think, like psychologically. Like I said, some players' heads aren't in it, just want out. Other players just aren't good enough. And, there are players obviously that are performing and doing well, obviously, apart from tonight. But, generally, Rice, very good. Soucek, very good. Bone, very good. Antonio has been playing very well, albeit not scoring, missing chances. But so there's such just a pick and mix, of players. There's no cohesion there, really. It's hard to win with a disparate group like that, I think. So, we Moyes has a hell of a lot of work to do, I think. But the only way that's going to change is if Moyes starts to do his job better. He's got to start winning some games on a more regular basis, get us further up the table. For example, I don't imagine any Wolves players are looking at the exit door. I'm sure it looks to me like they really enjoy their football. They play really well, nice brand of football. They score goals, they win games. I know they've had a little wobble the last couple of games, but generally they win games. So they're kind of a happy bunch. They're all rowing in the same direction. Players all want to be there. They believe in the manager. So, we don't really have any of that.
No, we don't. And I think it's pretty disappointing. I think that, the games that we do not convert and do well, we have the ability to. And, looking at the stats from today's game, we matched up with them pretty much spot on. So there is no reason why we shouldn't have won today's game.
No, and particularly, they're missing players, like important players. They started without Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes.
Yeah,
who always give us tons of trouble.
exactly.
Tons of trouble. Their midfield was pretty much decimated. Ben Mee was missing at centre back. They had Phil Bardsley at right back. And we still couldn't beat them. And that's kind of a shocking indictment, really, considering we had a strong team out. And Burnley are kind of they're very well drilled and defensively very strong. And you know what you're going to get with them, albeit we played into their hands with a lot of the balls that were going in. But they were, really a weakened Burnley team, and that's a really poor result to have lost that game tonight. Really poor. Tactically, I think Moyes didn't really know what to do with them. I mean, all that was happening is we were just dumping kind of high looping crosses into the box.
Yeah,
So they're either heading them clear, or the keeper Nick Pope is coming out and plucking them out the air or punching them away. That's bread and butter stuff to them.
sure.
They'll clear those kind of crosses all day long. That's perfect for them. That's exactly what they would have hoped we would do, is just dump balls into the box. Now there are other games where that would be a great strategy.
Sure.
Get lots and lots of crosses in, but not against this Burnley side. I mean, if you're going to put a ball into the box against this Burnley side as a cross, it's got to be a lower trajectory with a bit of whip on it.
Yep.
To cause them, so the keeper can't come for it, and it will cause the defenders problems because they're much more difficult to clear, much more difficult to deal with well. But if it's a higher, slower, more looping one, they just come out and head them clear all day. Keeper can come and punch them, grab them. So we didn't do ourselves any favors with the deliveries into the box either. And it was just, I genuinely thought we were going to win that game, because I was really encouraged after the Chelsea Newcastle games, and I thought, with the players that they had missing, that it was a gilt-edged chance to finally get a win against Burnley. But I don't know if Burnley are our new Everton or something, where we just can't beat them. How many times we lost in a row to them now? It's ridiculous. They just keep beating us, and tonight was the best chance we had to beat them in a long time. So it's really disappointing that it was so many poor performances. There wasn't really any player today that you would say was great.
Who you thought the best man of the match? But
man of the match, I would say, was Souček. I thought Souček did have a very good game, although, as I say, he burned out. There was one point where he was just lying down on the ground.
Yeah.
During the break in play, he was just flat out on the ground during the break in play, just trying to catch his breath, before he got back up again. But Souček, really, I thought, had a good game. Very unlucky not to score. He was all over the game. It was very obvious in the game. He really gave it everything, I thought, and had a very good game. I thought Bowen was very good when he went back out into the right, where he should have been. He played very well. Not his best game still in a West Ham shirt, but he still played well enough that he's pretty much faultless today. Him and Souček are faultless. I thought Rice, while he wasn't one of our worst players by any means, definitely was very flat today. He couldn't get into the game. I thought this was going to be a game where Rice could really stamp his authority, and that we'd see him carry the ball forward a lot, and drive at Burnley, but we never really saw that.
I think
he just he wasn't all over the game like you would normally see him when he's at his best. He wasn't as obvious tonight. I thought Ogbonna was okay. He was steady.
Yeah.
Fabianski, fine, steady. The goal that beat him wasn't his fault. No blame on him. Everything else he saved. So he didn't have to be brilliant tonight.
Thinking who it would be. So I mean, I agree with you. I think maybe Bowen, but still, I feel like I'm not in love with that answer either.
Yeah, probably Souček. I think Souček probably was the best player for us tonight. Second, probably Bowen behind Souček. But after that, you're kind of struggling a bit. Like I said, Ogbonna was steady. Fabianski was steady.
Right.
And after then, it falls off.
Right.
Look, Antonio did his best. He ran around as he always does, put his heart and soul into it, but still wasn't great. Um, and then we had players who I thought were really poor. I was very disappointed that Yarmolenko didn't do better. You know, a couple of great substitute appearances, and he had a chance tonight now to kind of cement a place in the starting 11. I thought he let himself down a bit. Not that he was lazy or he wasn't running or anything. He just didn't really impact the game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, well, the fullbacks we've talked about. I mean, they were terrible. I don't want to kind of depress us both by going back over it again, but
I know. It feels like we're almost in conversation as the other day.
yeah, it's like broken record stuff almost now, isn't it?
More tired.
Yeah. The other thing that's worrying me a little bit now is Diop. Like, I don't know if it's because he is disillusioned, but he hasn't progressed the way I hoped. I thought he was the kind of player who was just going to keep getting better and better and better, but he's been shaky, and he's been a little loose. You know, his marking hasn't been great. He's getting caught out of position. No, it didn't cost us really as such tonight, but against better teams, it will. I'm a little worried about Diop. Um, I thought he would be further along, that he'd be better than he is now. And like I say, I don't know if it's because I overrated him. That's possible. Maybe he's not the player we thought he was, or that he was going to be. Or maybe he is just not happy and just is fed up and wants out. I don't know.
Communication thing too. Like, how I don't think they're communicating very well on the back line.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, it could be that too. It could be that, you know, he has to play beside Fredericks, you know, and, you know, that can't be easy. You know, he's probably having to put some fires out that are caused by Fredericks as well. Maybe that's why he's frustrated and turning around, throwing his arms up, complaining.
Yeah.
You know, maybe maybe he's being exposed too much by a fullback who just isn't up to the job. It's hard to know, but I hope it's that, you know, and we could solve that two problems in one then with a good fullback.
That's what's going on, honestly.
Yeah, I hope so, because, you know, I had a lot of high hopes for Diop, and I want to still have high hopes for Diop. Just at the moment, his performances are not where I wanted them to be. But like I say, he's still young, but I'd like to see him pushing on a bit more now. He's had enough games. You know, he's started enough games now. But hopefully that'll come soon, and that we haven't overrated him. I hope not.
So what do we think's on the horizon?
Oh, you mean Saturday or just long term?
Saturday.
I'm worried about Saturday. In fact, we're away from home. I think Norwich have lost 5 on the bounce, and I think if Norwich lose again on Saturday, I think that's them done. I think that's them relegated. I don't see us doing that. It wouldn't be West Ham to actually do that, would it? It would be West Ham to go and lose it, keep their hopes alive. You know, so I am worried. I am worried because we were so flat tonight for large periods, and the players did look gassed. And much the same team will be put out. He won't make substitutions early enough, and he won't make enough of them when he does. So I'm a bit worried, particularly about the second half. First half, I think we'll probably do okay, assuming we don't get completely destroyed down the flanks, which could happen right from the off. With Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis, and I expect they'll target us on the flanks, particularly on Frederick's side. So I'm worried about Saturday. We need something out of that game. Just don't lose it. If we got a point, so it wouldn't be a brilliant result, but it would be acceptable. I think the point would be acceptable. because it's another point closer to making sure we stay out of that drop zone. I suppose tomorrow evening will be interesting because I think Villa play United and Bournemouth play Tottenham.
Yep.
So if they both lose again, which on paper they should, then we'll get away with today's result again. So I suspect we'll stay up just because the teams below us just can't pick up any points. Since the Premier League resumed, the bottom three, Norwich, Bournemouth, and Villa, between them in all of their games combined have earned 2 points. So
Right.
they're all playing horribly, thankfully for us, but we need them to keep doing that. And if they do, we'll be okay, regardless of the team's ineptitude or Moyes' ineptitude. The worry is that we go into next season with him as our manager. I just suspect if you give him a full season, that he will take us down. Give him 38 games to do it. I think he'll take us down. Now, whether the board would give him that long to do it, I doubt. He could be kind of out by Christmas kind of thing. But yeah, and just recruitment is going to be vital, obviously. We're going to lose some players.
Yep.
But we have to get 2 fullbacks in.
I
we
agree.
have to.
At minimum.
Yeah, we can't go into next season with them.
But defensively, we need to be stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on a hiding to nothing with Cresswell and Fredericks. So there's a lot of work to do. And as well, because we've had a bad season, any players that we're approaching to sign for us, they must be thinking, okay, I'm going to be joining a team here that has David Moyes as the manager, David Sullivan as the owner, and basically scraped through last season. You wonder what kind of players you're going to attract. I don't imagine they'd be listening to any bullshit from David Sullivan or Moyes when they're trying to sign him, talking about, this is the future, these are our plans, we're going to do this. I'd imagine that rings pretty hollow at this point. So what kind of players we can attract, I don't know. We may have to dip into the Championship for our players.
Yeah, it might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, well, look, if you recruit smartly, I've got no problem with Championship players. There's some very, very good players down there. Plus, we have Grady back. That'll help.
That would help.
So, yeah, definitely.
A lot too.
Yeah, I think I'd be more than willing to give Grady a chance in left midfield. Because I feel a bit sorry for Fornells. It's not his position.
No,
Fornells was poor tonight. He really was. But I like Fornells, and I don't think it's a talent issue. Certainly not an attitude issue. He's just not a left-sided player. He just isn't, and we all know that.
Yep.
If he plays, Fornells has always played his best for us when he's played centrally. But again, you try telling Moyes that. He's happy to play. Excuse me. He's happy to play people out of position.
I know.
Even when he can see they don't perform there, he's happy to continue with someone like Ryan Fredericks, even though he's completely out of his depth, which is obvious to everyone. And when he has Johnson sitting on the bench, so plays Antonio up top continuously, even though we know he can't finish. It's if Moyes doesn't see it now, I don't. Will he ever?
That's my biggest question. I didn't want to come in here tonight and harp on Moyes, but how can we not? We're not seeing changes, and we're playing the same people, and we're going to have injuries. So where are we going? What are our goals? It doesn't seem like anything's going. He's not changing it.
Yeah, guaranteed. Like we'll finish 17th, we'll survive, and Moyes will. In Moyes' head, he'll think he's done a great job because he's kept us up, and he'll feel like that was his remit, and he did it, and he'll be thinking, right, next season now, start the season as manager and get a couple of players in, and next season we'll be top 10. In his head, that's what he thinks. I'm convinced of it. You saw him at the press conference. That's what I do. I win.
Yeah.
In his head, he's a really good manager, and he's doing a great job keeping us out of the relegation zone. That's who Moyes thinks he is.
I could bring politics into this, but I will not.
I'm sure there were parallels, but
he is not. He's
no, you
definitely
don't mix your politics and sport. It never ends well.
exactly. Tim would have my head here. Yeah, he's not the best manager. I'm sorry. If you were, you'd be making the adjustments. It's just not happening.
Yeah, and Sullivan will stick with him because he kept us up, and he'll give him the chance to start next season as our manager, and we'll find ourselves languishing down in or around the relegation zone next season, and it'll just be a matter of how long will it take Sullivan to pull the trigger and fire him, and Christ knows who he'll bring in then.
Yeah.
I mean, his track record is not good with managers. Very poor.
No, but I did just want to comment on Ben's comment there about, we need Villa and Bournemouth to keep dropping points. It's sad that we get to the point where we need other teams. We rely on other teams to do poorly because our performance isn't, up to par.
Yeah, it's depressing. And it is the case. Yeah, as Ben said there, look, what Ben said is true. We'll avoid relegation because Villa, Bournemouth, and Norwich just can't win any games.
Right.
And we managed a win, and we probably pick up a couple of draws elsewhere, and that'll be enough. We'll survive on 36 points or 37 points or something like that. I mean, that's a horrible season. I'm sorry. If you don't even make the 40-point mark, and we won't, and you survive, it's not because of any great thing your managers did over the course of the season, whether it's Pellegrini or Moyes. It's because there were three teams that were absolute dog shit. And we're going nowhere, absolutely nowhere. The best we can hope for, I think, as long as GSB are running the club, is what we're getting now. We're going to be a bottom half team. A good season for us would be like 12th or 13th, where we're not looking over our shoulder. But some fans now would be kind of saying, "Oh, well, at least we're not looking over our shoulder." That's where we're at, and
it is unfortunately.
It's yeah, and I'm actually thinking about it now. I'm really quite sickened that Upton Park died for this.
Yep.
All that talk, all them promises, just completely hollow.
Yeah.
And we deserved better than this.
Yeah, and it's not only that, it's the fact that we get so close and we have talent that we can improve upon. I think that is the more depressing part for me. That we don't have to be as terrible as we continuously perform.
No, our results shouldn't be as bad as they are. We just have a bad manager. It's as simple as that. So it just doesn't really know what he's doing and can't set us up correctly to win. Makes too many errors, personnel-wise, formation-wise, substitutions-wise, and it's just a never-ending cycle, unfortunately. Like if you take our current squad with everybody fit, as we almost are, we're almost everybody fit right now, and you put in a genuinely good manager who really knows. Take Nuno from Wolves. This is a guy who really, really knows what he's doing. A really good manager. You put him at West Ham, give him our team. Absolutely no way we're in the bottom half of the table. We are in the top 10, 100%. And that's virtually the sad thing is that that's all Sullivan kind of has to get right at this point. Because, like I say, the players are there. If he just gets the managerial appointment right, and it could really improve us hugely. And that's why it's mind-boggling, really, when he decided to sack Pellegrini, that they said, let's get David Moyes back in. It just goes to show kind of person he is, because he wanted someone very cheap and someone who wasn't going to complain about any lack of transfer funds and who wasn't going to be anything other really than a yes man. He was just going to get on with the job, whatever the conditions he was put in. David Moyes hadn't had a job since we let him go 18 months previously. No one had offered him a job whatsoever. He was a pundit on TV.
Well, I'll tell you this. After all this, he's not going to go anywhere either.
No, once he does leave West Ham, I mean, no one else has given him a job. But do you see my point? Like, he wanted a job desperately. And when he probably couldn't believe his luck that he was getting a call from whoever it was, whether it was Gold or Sullivan, saying, would you like to come back in and give it another go? He must have thought all his Christmases came at once. I mean, a Premier League club wanting to bring him in as manager. So, of course, he was all over it.
Sure.
And so he's not in a position to start complaining about transfer funds, or complaining about facilities or anything else, because he knows this is the only gig in town for him.
It is.
It's West Ham or bust. So he'll keep his mouth shut, no matter what conditions he's given to work in. He won't say anything. He might complain like crazy when he's eventually sacked, and then say, this wasn't right and this wasn't right. Fine. But while he's in that job, he'll just go with the flow. And Sullivan knows that. And that's why he's our manager again.
So I think I came up with a new game. I think we should start taking hammer shots every time Moyes actually puts in a sub.
Well, I hope you don't like getting drunk.
Yeah, right.
Because you'll be taking 2 shots per game, and you'll have to wait a long time to take them.
I know, but between us not scoring goals, what else do we have to look forward to?
No, not much. But the end of the season, I suppose, will be some kind of small mercy. But yeah, the last comment there again about the subs. 2 subs, you can use 5. Players are gassed. Nah, fuck you, play 95 minutes.
Yep.
6 minutes injury time this evening. They played all of it. Vast majority of them played every minute of that again. And now we're going to take them to Carrow Road on Saturday and ask them to do it again. So, that's not good.
If I see the same lineup for our game on Saturday morning, I'm going to scream so loud Wally will hear it.
Yeah,
from his
it's going to be it'll be a real word, particularly fullbacks. I mean, Jesus, I really need to see Johnson. And like, Cresswell has been so bad, and I never ever in my wildest dreams thought I would say this. Cresswell has been so bad, I would almost be relieved if I saw Masuaku at left back.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I can't believe
I know
either.
And he's terrible. He can't defend either. I'd be thinking I would almost, but you know what I mean? He's been so bad, I would almost kind of forgive Moyes for just fucking trying it.
Yeah.
And at least it would be him trying something. Say, fuck me, I know it's only Masuaku, but I have to try him.
Right.
And just see how he goes, and the same on the other side. I want to see Johnson in there.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather see Johnson first than putting Masuaku back in, but.
Well, it depends. It's kind of pick your poison, right? So Johnson showed he can play left back too if you need him to. Actually, both of his appearances he's made for us, games he started, were at left back, both times against Man City. And he played really well in both those games. So pick your poison. You keep one fullback, lose one fullback. Just depends which way you want to go. I'd be inclined to lose Fredericks, but and put Johnson over there because it is Johnson's natural position at right back. But look, we're talking about Moyes. It'll be basically the same team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe unless he starts Haller, I don't know where Haller's fitness is at. He didn't look good tonight, but you might feel that Heller's okay to start. I don't know. But like I say, I think it'll be largely the same team, and he'll run them into the ground for vast majority of them. He'll run 9 of them into the ground. One of them will get 10-minute break, and the other will get about 3 or 4 minute break at the end of the game. So,
it's just
and so that's why I worry. Even though Norwich, have been losing game after game, I still worry about that game. I really do.
Yeah.
From what I've seen tonight,
I'm concerned. So I guess the only
we just pray, basically just pray that Villa and Bournemouth lose again tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get away with it once again.
Oh, it's going to be tough. Well, we don't have to worry about them playing Tottenham. So Tottenham will definitely win.
Yeah. I think they'll both lose, hopefully. I don't see Villa getting anything against Man United. United are playing really well right now.
Yeah.
Tottenham, I would trust Tottenham a little bit less, but Bournemouth, I think, are the worst team in the league. So Tottenham should get the win there, and I guess we'll get away with another one.
So 1 o'clock and 3:15 tomorrow.
Your time.
Yeah, our time. So you'll have it a little bit later in the evening.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know if you're going to be doing that show. I think that Chris might be back.
I will be relieved of my duties, and actually, Rebecca and I
Thank God, says you.
Although it's been a lot of fun, I am not as good as Chris, I will say. So I will be giving Chris his spot back. Rebecca and I will be postponing our show for tomorrow night just because of school for me. And then tonight, something good to look forward to. Hammer Shots is back on, and I believe Wally is going to be on. I don't know who else is on.
The King of Prussia. He's been cramming. Did you see him reading his book? He's been reading his West Ham books.
Yes.
He's been cramming getting his studying, and he's studying harder than you are.
Yeah. So I'm pretty interested to see how he does. And, it's exciting to see Adam back. So I don't know if
great to see Adam
back or second, but still exciting. We have our boy back.
Yeah, he gave us a little scare there.
Yeah, he did.
So delighted to see Adam back. He's a top lad. Great crack. You can really have the banter with him, and delighted to see he's back to health, and long may it last. But and seeing as we've only done 2 shows together, and this is your last one, but I just want to say really just thank you for stepping in, because I really enjoy doing these shows and complaining for an hour or so and getting it off my chest. It helps me to sleep because I've gotten it all off my chest and said what I needed to say. And so thank you very much, Katie, for stepping in. It was obviously a privilege and a great time. You did a fantastic job standing in for Chris. I'm sure he'd agree. And we really appreciate it. And who knows, maybe if Chris goes gallivanting or I go gallivanting, you might be sprung from the bench again in the future.
Hey, I'm always ready. And you never
you're
hammer it out.
You're a Rossetti. Every once in a while, when we really need you, we'll spring you from the bench. Won't be often, but every now and then.
And Moyes, I will say that.
Yeah. But no, thank you very much. Look, you did a great job, and fair play to you. I know you've got a lot going on. So listen, thanks very much, and I appreciate it.
Tommy. Yeah. All right. So here's hoping for better days. Bubbles.
Fingers crossed.
Sky, right?
One sweet day. One sweet day, Katie, we won't recognize the club as it is right now. We'll talk back on it, and we'll be saying, "Remember when back then when after we were bought by some, ridiculously wealthy sheikh from the Middle East."
I'm waiting for it.
We're all waiting.
All right. Well, I guess we just gotta say, "Come on, you Irons!" Right?
Come on, you Irons.
All right, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. And Tommy, we'll see you after the game on Saturday.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Take care.